What is the best exercise to do for the posterior chain? Now, when you're thinking about the posterior chain, basically it can mean anything. How much you want to encapsulate into a workout of a posterior chain session. For me, the way I've broken things up is that I have a front leg day and then a back leg day. So obviously hack squats and belt squats on the front of the anterior chain. And then on the back of the leg, I'm thinking hamstrings, quads, maybe even some lower back if I really want to. But in recent times, I've decided not to train the lower back at all because the hack squats have been taxing them, interestingly enough. That's something that I did not see coming, but it definitely came. Lower back pumps were a thing with hack squats. So then I removed good mornings from the mix and I started putting in a few glute isolation exercises like the glute thrust or the hip thrust machine. I did that for a few sessions. And, it feels good. It feels good to do it, but I never really get that interaction that I usually get with other exercises when it comes to glutes. And they got me kind of thinking, yeah, hip thrusts are great, but they're very, very short exercise, as in the muscle is overloaded in the short portion of movement. I'm sure there's a lot of benefit in that, but my gut feeling, like my deep, deep gut feeling after all these years of training is that long range, for glutes especially, is where you want to be. So if I think about all of the freaking years of training that I've done, when it comes to glutes, and my glutes are very well developed, there's a lot of muscle there, and it's probably the driver for most of my strength in the deadlift and the squat. Lunges, man. Lunges and lunge variations, split squats, Bulgarian split squats, you name it. That's what produces the most amount of damage to that tissue. And then theoretically speaking, it builds the most tissue. Now, that's not to, bash on hip thrusts. I'm sure there is a point to them and a benefit to them. It's just, for me, I feel like, some sort of unilateral leg exercise is the most best for glutes. Now that I think about it, even something like a single leg RDL or a single leg deadlift, something like that, absolutely brutalizes the glutes. So it's a really good way to introduce unilateral leg exercises, and it really does stress the importance of doing something in your training that is unilateral. Now, when I think about my training, lots of squats and deadlifts, okay, that's bilateral. What am I doing for the single leg stuff? Well, where do I go? And so when you're thinking about glutes, well, why don't you put in a unilateral leg exercise, which is proven to you that it damages the glutes the most, and also it produces that unilateral leg exercise benefit that is very good for us. It's very hard to estimate all of the stuff that goes on in the body when you're on one leg. We're not even mentioning the core here, the neuromuscular connection, the balance, coordination, all that. A lot goes into it. And so today I decided, man, I did some deadlifts, bilateral exercise, worked up to 240, felt good, felt strong. Went to front squats, another bilateral exercise. I worked up to 180 on the front squat there, felt really good. Another bilateral exercise. So then I was like, man, I've been doing these split squats and they've been feeling really amazing. They're extending my quads and making me feel really good. And then it kind of occurred to me, well, the quads are reacting really well to another long exercise. The unilateral leg exercise, the split squats. So when I do split squats, the quads get long, the quads get long and the glutes get long. So it's like an unbelievable reaction that my body is getting from this. I'm extending muscle. I'm stretching. It's an active stretch for the quads and the glutes. So I decided to load them. I've been warming up with them every single day, for the last, I don't know how long, ever since the quad started screaming at me. From being overly tight, started doing that. Great. Okay, let's load them today. And so I decided to load them, and I was like, man, do I do Bulgarian? Do I do normal split squats? And I thought, why don't I load them exactly how I do them for the warm-ups? Well, I quickly worked out that there's not just a balance issue, but there's a slipping issue. The back leg is constantly slipping behind me. And I was kind of looking around thinking, in the gym, you don't really have any other place but the squat rack to do this stuff. But the squat rack has the platform and it's wooden. And I've got these shoes which are very slippery, as in like at the toe part of the shoe is very slippery. So it was limiting me hardcore. Now I know with the Bulgarian split squats, I worked up to some decent amount of weight with that, man. Like I remember having that leg up on the box or a bench. I was able to stabilize myself quite well, and there was no risk of slipping. So I loaded it up, and I can't remember exactly, but I loaded it up to like 3 plates or something like that. Very, very heavy, and I remember the glutes screaming. I mean, at the time, I probably did it for quads, thinking I'm going to be able to target them. The glutes were screaming, and I was like, this is crazy, man. I don't need more glute work. So I kind of walked away from it. And also, my knee felt like it was going to blow up doing Bulgarian split squats. So there was a few reasons there why I let it go. This time around, I'm like, I don't really care about any of that stuff. I just want to stretch the quads. The back leg is getting stretched in the quads, and the front leg is getting a mighty old freaking glute, long contraction and exercise, and there's a lot of benefit there. I worked up to a plate, and it's such a difficult exercise to work out, whether you go straight down, whether you go over to the front foot more. So I didn't have a lot of success with it, but I'm kind of thinking along those lines. I'll go back to Bulgarians. I feel like Bulgarians are not going to stretch the back leg like I really wanted to. So I probably should have gone down the dumbbell version. I would have been away from the squat rack and on, grippier floor. But it really got me thinking today about, all these different boxes of training that we can put exercises in. And I don't know, man. I feel like unilateral work is freaking excellent. And the latest iteration of reasons for it is the stretching. Man, it's stretching so well. The quads, the hip flexors, they get so well extended and stretched. And obviously the front leg also gets the glutes, right? Because when you have one leg forward, one leg back, you are basically pinning the pelvis in position, right? The pelvis can't go anterior or posterior because either way it's going to be pulling on something. I can't get into a major pelvic tilt because the front leg is basically pinning it. The glutes and all of that, I'm getting hip flexion from the front leg and hip extension in the other legs. And so your pelvis gets pinned. And so then, your lower back is completely spared because there's no translation of rotation through that lower back. There's no flexion or extension. So it's an unbelievable exercise. All of these type of exercises with one leg are great. But I just feel like the more I think about it, the more reasons there is for it. Stretching, strengthening, long exercise. Like it goes on and on and on. Balance. I just don't know which way to go about it. You can see I'm struggling with the back leg, man. It's really kind of slipping behind me. Maybe it's just the floor. If I did it at home on concrete, I'd have more success. But it was, one of those things that I thought, man, freaking slippery floor, man. I thought about a towel, but you need a long towel so the front leg is standing on the same towel. Kind of like what sumo deadlifters, they put carpet down so they don't slip. One piece of carpet, right? So then, the left and the right leg are pinning that carpet in. I need to do more thinking about it. But I like it. Maybe the best workaround is just use dumbbells. But then you're going to quickly tap out on that. You won't be able to load that much. I don't know. I've had so many waves of unilateral training in this journey. And now that I'm hitting the quad so hard, I have to have something in the program that adds length. And I feel like the way I do the belt squats, it also kind of shortens the quads. Because I'm not fully extending because the arms of the belt squat machine are kind of short, so I can't really stand up fully. So kind of like in a slightly leaned over while doing belt squats. And so I'm short at the hip, short at the knee with the quads. So the quads are getting really, really short. So I really, really need something that's going to make them long. And I think split squats is one of the best things for it. And honestly, man, every time I do a set, and I'm doing like body weight stuff for warm-ups, it just opens me up, man. Like it just makes my knees and hips feel unbelievable. I feel in my quads. I feel like my anterior pelvic tilt starts to restore because I'm stretching that thing, which is driving me crazy, And so if you're getting after a body part, smashing it hard, like I'm doing with quads, the body's going to want to get tight because it's like, what the hell is going on here, man? We're under fire over here. Let's, retreat. Let's just absorb this insult and let's just survive. And so all of that in the body's way is to go into a little hole and just tighten everything up. It's kind of like you're getting hit by Mike Tyson when we're talking about bracing with the belt and whatever. You're tightening everything up. And that's what happens when you're smashing the muscle as well. It gets tighter. So you have to release it. You need to have something releasing it. And I've found static stretching to be damn near worthless, for me at least. So something that makes the muscle long feels like water on fire, man. It's just so satisfying. So I'm gonna do something with split squats for sure. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.